The modern open plan office was a great idea. This idea of getting rid of the doors and the walls so that we could all be working together and to collaborate, to break down some of the hierarchies that otherwise can stop the flow of information and ideas. And while it's a great concept, the challenge for most of us, and when I'm speaking with clients day after day, this consistently comes up. It's a great idea, but the challenge is it is ruining our capacity to focus. It's having a massive impact on productivity. It's almost like the modern open plan office is purpose-built to destroy our capacity to concentrate and to get stuff done. Because at any moment you're hearing conversations from 3 desks away, people drop by quickly to ask you questions they really could have asked in an email, and these interruptions are devastating to our capacity to get into a flow state and to build momentum and to be both productive and effective. Now it's interesting, some research for the University of California found that the average office worker today is interrupted, or, here's the key, self-interrupts every 3 minutes. Now the challenge with this is they also found it can take up to 23 minutes to get back to the point where you are as focused before the interruption occurred. And so bearing in mind the current environment most of us are operating in, how do you achieve focus, concentration? How do you get into that flow state? That's what I will look at in this very short video. You can't control the environment around you, but you can control what you do within that environment to try and achieve focus and concentration. The first key would be simply this. If you have got a door, if you've got a space in your office where you can get away and work in solitude, and often open plan offices do have spaces for quiet work, use those as often as you can, particularly when you're doing deep, creative, complex tasks. You need to carve out time in your day where you're uncontactable. You need to let people know around you the level of emergency it needs to be before that interruption gets through to you. Unless the building is burning down, don't bother me. I'm working on a complex task. So it's important that if you can, you close the door, you find a place where you can get some sense of solitude. Now, if that is not something you can do in the office, you may find working from home for half a day a week, or just getting out of the office to a cafe to do deep, concentrated, complex, creative tasks is something that you need to do. Something else you can do that can be really effective and really simple, but hard for us to do at times, is switch your phone off. Just turn it off. Turn it to flight mode or switch it off entirely. Now, I know that that can sound terrifying, particularly if you're part of the generation for whom FOMO is a real deal. I mean, fear of missing out is a very big problem for many young people. This idea of I can't have my phone off because I might miss out on some important news from my social circle. And then if you want to get to that focus state, sometimes just switching your phone off for only 10, 15 minutes can be the most effective thing you can do. Now, let's talk about email. Email is often one of the biggest challenges to our capacity to focus, to get into that flow state, what I often refer to as inbox inundation. And for many of us, we get far more email than we really need. If I ever meet the person who invented the blind carbon copy, I will do something somewhat aggressive and violent to them, because if you're anything like me, I get copied on things I don't need to be aware of, and it fills up my inbox day after day. Now, you may well also find that your inbox is being filled with newsletters and things that come from people marketing stuff to you. And one of the most impressive tools I've seen for dealing with that is a tool called unroll.me. So Unroll Me, if you go to that website, you can enter your email address. It'll tell you every electronic newsletter that comes to your email address, and at one foul swoop, tick, 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 you can unenroll from all of those emails just to try and clear the decks. But when it comes to your inbox, there are some other simple things that you can do. For instance, some of the most effective people I know batch their emails. In fact, I was speaking with Chris Luxon in New Zealand recently. Chris Luxon is the CEO of Air New Zealand. A large company, lots of staff, and he said the way he manages email is he only checks email for 20 minutes at a time, 4 times a day. And in between those times, he shuts his email program down. And he sets up an out-of-office notification to let people know when he'll be checking his email next, so there's a clear expectation set. And he said, if I don't do that, I will spend my entire day reacting to everything that comes up rather than ever getting any deliberate work done. The great thing he said is that when he makes himself unavailable, it's amazing how often his team, his staff members, will figure out the answer to their own questions because they realize they're not going to get through to him. So batching your email is a really helpful tool if you can stand doing it. You may want to use some software like SaneBox, for instance. SaneBox is an email curation technology, and there's a few others like it out there. And what these do is throughout the day, they figure out the sort of emails that you need, that are urgent, that are important. It'll let those emails straight through to you. But every other email it'll hold back, it'll quarantine those emails until a set time. Now, you may well set the time for, say, 4:45 every afternoon. And at that point, all the emails that Sanebox is quarantined all day get released to you in one bunch. And the beauty is you can then deal with all those emails in 15 minutes in non-strategic time, the last 15 minutes of the day, rather than being interrupted by them constantly throughout the day. Now, if you can't shut your email down, if you don't want to invest in Sanebox or take control of your inbox in that way, the simplest thing you can do that will have a massive impact on your capacity to focus and concentrate. Simplest thing you can do, switch off all new email or new message notifications on your laptop, your desktop, even your phone or your tablet device if you're brave. Because here's the thing, every time you hear that ping that goes off, or the little window appears in the top right-hand corner of your screen, even if you don't know who the email is from or what it's about, instantly your productivity, your effectiveness is affected because now your attention is split. You're now thinking about, well, who's the email from? What's it about? What am I going to have to deal with in a few moments? And the moment this occurs, the moment that distraction arrives, just knowing the email is there has some really interesting impact on our brain capacity. So University of London found that for women, the moment that email is there and you know that it's awaiting your attention, women will lose 10 basis points off their effective IQ instantly because now their attention is split. They're thinking about the job they're doing and the email that's just arrived. Now for blokes, for men, you actually lose 15 basis points off your effective IQ the moment that ping goes off or the little notification appears in the top right-hand corner of your screen. So the simplest thing you can do, turn off all those notifications. So you're only responding to email when you decide to, rather than being interrupted by it consistently throughout your day. So there's a couple of tips that, despite the environment many of us operate in offices today, tips to get control over your environment, to master distractions and interruptions. And if you can do this, you'll be amazed the difference it makes to your productivity, your effectiveness, and your personal momentum.